Alabama's in a situation that really is like the envy of most of the sport because you still win 10 games or 11 games and you're floating around that area and everything's a disaster and everyone's talking about how we got to fix the program and hardly anybody ever gets to that point. And they don't really care to hear that in Tuscaloosa. They just want to win another national championship. And it also galls them that Kirby Smart, out of all people, has been the one to at least temporarily in the minds of many, elevate a program above Alabama. Not a team, a program. If you do program power rankings right now, there are many out there who would put Georgia just a smidge ahead of Alabama. I would be careful talking in final terms about that. It could be that it just fluctuates right back this time next year. But anyway, I'm saying all that to say, I have the mood for Alabama fans as ready to max, not maximize, max. As in, you're one of the strongest folks in the gym. You have been for a long time. And so you're still working out every day. But it's been a little while. It's been a little while since you really loaded up on that flat bench or that squat rack or power cleans or deadlifts. And so you start to wonder, have I lost an inch or so in my shoulders? Are my quads a little smaller than they have been? The definition on the interior part of the pectorals there, it's not what it used to be. I wonder if I still have what I used to have. And so, what do? Well, there's only one thing you can do. You got to wake up, you got to eat a nice breakfast, you got to load up on the pre-workout, and then you got to go down to the downtown Nashville YMCA, and you got to max. There's only one way to know if you're as strong as you used to be. You got to max. And Bama fans are ready to max. Bama fans, to put a finer point on it, are ready to open the hood and to see if that same engine's in there that once was. The talent has not gone anywhere. I am a firm believer that we will go on to look at this past recruiting class and say, that may have been the best class Nick Saban ever signed. I think multiple true freshmen off of this past signing class. The Justice Hayneses of the world, the Caden Proctors of the world, the Caleb Downs of the world. I think they're about to start this year. Phenomenal class. Insane depth in that class. Talent's not an issue. They're loaded up pretty much everywhere. I love their secondary this year. So a lot of what has hamstrung them over the past couple of seasons, relatively speaking, I don't think is going to be an issue. But what they want to know is, are we seriously about to lack a top-end gear in physicality and aggression and the kind of, not just player, but the kind of overall mentality we used to have in this place? I mean, look, it's been a pretty foreign concept to hear Alabama players publicly saying, I don't sense the Alabama standard around here right now. And a few of them were on the record as saying that last year. Nick Saban acknowledged it. He said, that's a failure on my part. If our former guys are coming back around looking at our product and saying, no, this doesn't quite meet the standard. It's not bad. It's far from bad, but it's not excellent. And that's the standard around there. And so, you're not going in there. If you're ready to max again, of course you're going to be able to put a plate on. You can throw 135 up in the air and catch it. You can rep 225 like it's the NFL Combine and you're a defensive lineman. You start getting into that three-plate territory, and you'll still be able to throw it up a few times. But when we start putting 405 and we get at 495, or if we're using a 50-pound bar, 500 even, can we still throw that up? Or do we need to spot, does one side get a little crooked and all of a sudden you got plates dumping because smartly you didn't use clamps when you were maxing? I think we're going to find out this year. It's also not a situation where there's not someone out there that has been in ascension mode. It'd be one thing if Bama was slightly off pace, but it didn't matter because no one else out there was even close. Georgia had been in ascension mode the whole time. Georgia is using that Bama blueprint. Georgia does have that toughness. Georgia does have a bunch of guys that, as Kirby Smart says, are willing to eat off the floor. And there's that hunger that is required of your entire program top to bottom to get that kind of over-the-cliff performance out of everyone. And Alabama just hasn't quite had that. I get excited about looking at them this upcoming year because I tend to think they are planning on reverting back to a style of play, a complementary style of football that does harken back to a little bit more physical style. a little bit more aggressive style that we've seen from Bama not too long ago that we've seen from them. Just a big, physical, nasty offensive line where at least 4 of them, I think, have future first-round potential. And maybe 5, we'll see, but I feel very good about 4 of them. You got several running backs that can do the job, plenty good enough in the receiver room, which makes me question why so many people are up in arms right now about this quarterback room. But again, I'm in the minority. Everyone else out there thinks Bama's got a poverty quarterback room. It may very well fall short of the past several years standard, when the past several years standard is Hurts and then Tua and then Mac Jones and then Bryce Young. You got Heisman finalists in that room virtually every year. Maybe you don't have one this year. Maybe you, I don't know, don't need one to play the best caliber ball that this team is suited to play. It's just a theory I want to float out there. But with Bama, you know, none of the rest of the country feels this way. The rest of the country is very, very happy to see them a little unsure of themselves publicly. And for the first time, you're able to see the infighting a little bit. You know, the stuff that you're not supposed to see. The stuff that's supposed to happen behind closed doors. Mom and dad are arguing about the best way to raise the child, and should we even have a swing set in the backyard, and what in the world has happened to the front lawn? When are we going to mow the grass? You're not supposed to see that. The window's not supposed to be open, and you can hear that in the kitchen. You're not supposed to hear Bama fans talking about whether they've lost it. You're not supposed to hear Bama fans talking about why they're not physical anymore and why Georgia looks like they used to look. You're not supposed to hear that. They got to go max this year. They got to figure out if they still got it. I tend to believe they do. And the other thing I'm asked so much when I'm doing radio hits and all kinds of different hits, I don't even know what to call them anymore, I'm asked if Georgia's the new Alabama. I get asked that multiple times a week. And what I say is, no, Georgia's Georgia. It just got ingrained in people's minds for so long, there can only be one dominant program out there. No, there's room. There's not room for 7 of them, but there's room for more than one of them. I just think we got 2 of them there right now. Got room for Ohio State, Michigan, got room for a third if you guys want to ascend up there and recruit at that level. USC, you guys interested in playing defense on the West Coast, got room for one out there. Got room for Clemson to return back to that level of prominence. Georgia and Bama are both there. They are both at that level now. So Georgia's not the new anything. Georgia's just Georgia. The best version of Georgia you've ever seen. Is Bama still the version of Bama that we have seen? That's why you got to max this year. I do not believe in maxing more than a couple of times a year. It's just putting the focus in the wrong place. But that is not my advice for Alabama. By all means, max this year.